Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Roll call, please, Ms. Hidalgo.
Commissioner Devine. Commissioner Kajayan.
Here.
Ex officio Jabarian.
Present.
Ex officio Yagyayan.
Here.
Chair Miller.
Here.
1A, report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the July 8, 2013 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before July 5, 2013. Item 2, introductions and presentations. At A, introduction of new Commissioner Seda Kojayan.
Thank you, Iris. I'd like to introduce and welcome our newest Commissioner, Seda Kojayan, appointed by Councilman Najarian to the Commission on the Status of Women. Commissioner Kojayan has a bachelor's degree in public administration and 25 years of professional experience in information technology, customer service, security system administration, and in the Glendale community. She has been very involved in our community in various capacities, including 2 terms on the Executive Board of the Armenian Relief Society of the Western USA, 3 terms on the Executive Board of the Armenian Relief Society of Glendale, the CPON chapter, served on various committees like the Unity Fest, Man's and Humanity to Man, Home and Menara Chapter Relay for Life, and many more. Commissioner Kojayan was actually honored as a Jewel of Glendale by this commission in 2008. She is always looking to improve the organization and community she wholeheartedly supports. She is constantly looking for partnerships to benefit our community and uses her skills in education to plan and effectively implement fundraising efforts, including grant writing to secure funding for various organizations in our community. Thank you for your years of service and dedication to our community, and we welcome you to the Commission.
Thank you. Thank you to the Glendale City Council for selecting me to participate on the Glendale Commission of the Status of Women. A special thanks to Mr. Najarian to Council Member Najarian to nominating me first place, and I am honored to work on this commission. I will do my very best to serve the city that I love, Glendale, and I will hope to do my fellow citizens proud. I look forward to working with you, Chair Ms. Miller and Commissioner Devine, also the new nominees. Together we can reach to our goals, this Commission's goals and expectations. I serve, as she said in my biography, service in Glendale since I joined Armenian Relief Society in 1978. Armenian Relief Society, it's nonprofit organizations, non-sectarian, and one of the oldest women international organization, was founded in 1910 in New York City to provide clothing, food, and to provide also for refugees and for the orphans, the refugee, for them, shelters for the refugees and also for the orphans. And with the entity in 27 countries, with 16,000 of members, we are in the West Coast, Armenian Relief Society, Western USA. We are located in 517 West Glen Oaks. That's our headquarters. And we have 27 chapters in Western side with 1,600 members. What we do is we have 4 social services in Western region in California. What we do is to provide community services, and also especially we emphasize on the immigrant, to provide them the right direction to be a good citizen in the United States. Also, we provide tuitions and scholarship for the student. Also, we provide them disaster relief. Anywhere in the world that happen any disaster, we are there. We help them. And I was also not, as she said, I served in many terms as an executive in Armenian Relief Society in Western region, or also as I was a chair in Glendale CPON chapter. In addition, working through the Relief Society, I was also a PTA member in Shamlian Armenian School that my kids attended, also in the Scout, as you mentioned. I have spent thousands of hours volunteering and working to help serve the community by organizing events. I want to thank those who taught me and teach me how to serve the community. I will use this experience to this committee to raise and improve the status of all women in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We will all be commenting in our comments, but we do want to just at this point, on behalf of the entire commission, let you know, first off, we thank Councilmember Najarian for appointing you with your wealth of knowledge and your innovative ideas. We look forward to working closely with you on this commission. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Next item, 2B, Celebrating Artistic Expression. LA Woman, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Joanne Aiden, Museum Director at Forest Lawn Museum, and Women in the Arts and Women in Higher Arts Education, Margaret Lazari, Professor and Chair of the Roski School of Fine Arts at the University of Southern California.
With July being Celebrating Artistic Expression Month, I would like to welcome Joan Aiden and Margaret Lazari with us today to speak about women in art. Joan Adan is the museum director at the Forest Lawn Museum and curated the art exhibit LA Women, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, which will be at Forest Lawn Museum in August. Margaret Lazari is a professor of chair of the Roski School of Fine Arts at USC, and she is the author of Practical Handbook for the Engineering Artist, as well as a co-author of Art and Design Fundamentals and Exploring Art, a Global Thematic Approach. Her paintings and drawings have been exhibited throughout the U.S. and Italy and are included in numerous public collections, including the Cathedral Collection of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, Kaiser Hospital, and many other locations. Welcome, and thank you both for being here with us today.
Thank you, Teresa. It was very nice. Anyway, the exhibit LA Woman, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, which has an opening reception on September 7th, and it will close January 5th, will feature 24 women artists who have great impact on Los Angeles art scene and have contributed vastly to our history and culture. Margaret Lazari is one of those artists, and she is here to talk more about the exhibit and the women in art.
Thank you for inviting me to be here and to speak about women and their contribution to art. I had brought some images that you can simply rotate through because I'm not addressing any one in particular, but talking in general about the contributions of women in the arts. As the introduction to the catalog says, Professor Ruth Weisberg, my colleague, wrote that before the 17th century, you would not have found a single woman involved in the arts at all. The role of women was simply not in that arena at all. In the 17th century, you had to look hard, but you could find an occasional woman. Things improved significantly by the end of the 18th century. Women were encouraged to do still lives, but not other themes like history, paintings, which were considered more in the realm of men. The 19th century saw even more changes, and the 20th century has really seen an incredible burst of artistic activity. And the 21st century, it continues even more. It's so exciting now. LA is a particularly interesting place for finding these phenomena because LA has probably one of the best infrastructures of university and community colleges, which provides long-term support for artists to continue in their careers over decades. And because of this infrastructure, we see the contributions of women and women artists here in an even greater number than we see in many other places. What you'll see as we rotate through are some of the images that will be in the show. And, but rather than talk about individual works, I wanted to mention three particular areas where women artists have made particularly important contributions. in the first place, and this may not seem necessarily like something all that important, but in the area of media, that is what we actually use to make art, women have been incredible pioneers, in part because oil painting was considered for so long to be the realm of male expression. Women made huge contributions in the areas of crafts as art, collage, performance, where they actually use their body to express certain ideas, printmaking, and then also, of course, painting. But it's just been an amazing expansion of the field of painting. Collage, and especially performance, all these things. These are incredible vehicles for expression now. And it is because of the political tone of the time that these things even happened. Women have also explored themes that were not considered important in the past. Themes of simplicity, themes of the ordinary. So you'll find artists who deal, oh, there's mine. You'll find artists who deal with water movement or shadow or light, which is, for example, what I'm particularly taken to. Ordinary, mundane things, but to look at them and to find a way to express them as important and enriching in our lives. Women also deal with the theme of domesticity. Women also deal with the ideas and images of the female body as pictured by women versus as pictured by men. And this is an important thing because you may have seen, maybe you could start the thing again. Women, there was one in particular where women showed them, images of women doctors and things of this sort. As women see ourselves as in our biological fullness, but also in also all our professional roles and our intelligence and our sensitivities. It's really amazing that is pictured. We also deal with identity and self in the broadest sense. We also give voice to not only the female, but other marginalized groups, women artists, along with African American artists and Latina artists, and we have really found ways to take marginalized groups and to find self-realization through the images that we make of ourselves and our own experience. And these are incredibly important for the understanding of all of these things. I think that was all that I had intended to say, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
I have a few questions for you. To talk about the different types of meeting, I see that we see the artwork here, but will there be performances or other forms of art, or is this?
Well, I think Joan can answer.
It's mostly what you see on the screen, but there's one in particular, the Suzanne Lacey, which is an installation. And I hope to have a lecture or two during the run of the exhibit, which I want to talk with you about later. And so that's what we will be having. And like I said, we do have the opening reception on September 7th. For all those who are interested, they could contact us at www.forason.com if they're interested in attending that.
How were we so fortunate to get this exhibit in Glendale?
Joan built.
Well, I know people in the artists. I knew Ruth Reisberg, who gave me the initial list of artists that would be important contribution to this exhibit, and then I went on from there, adding other artists.
Commissioner Devine.
Is my mic on? Is this on? It's on. It's on now. Okay, thank you. It's not lit. I have for about 4 years been trying to get a women's art festival here in Glendale, and I just keep running into well, we'll get to that later. So I'm going to throw that out to this commission that perhaps one of our projects in the future can be a women's art festival, and maybe at the Americana, on the lawn, and I just think it would be wonderful. And I think Chair Miller, she would be a wonderful partner for us from
love
Forest
to.
Lawn, and we can get some of our local artists to women, because I know, and I'd like for you to maybe speak to this, older women getting into art. I have friends that retired and all of a sudden just said, well, I think I'm going to start painting. Oh, okay, and we all just kind of went along with that. And now all of a sudden, one is an oil painter and she artist and selling her, paintings for lots of money. Another one is being commissioned for different things. I mean, it seems to be something that women put on the back burner, don't we? Like everything else, we take care of our families first, and then when we get older, we kind of find what we want to, how we want to express ourselves. Can you address that?
Well, I do think that it's interesting that this particular exhibit shows women artists, several are deceased, not many.
7 are deceased.
And then there's older women and then a number of much younger women. So there's going to be an entire age span. I think whatever we could do to encourage people to really, do those things in their heart at whatever age. And if these are role models, and that's a huge and wonderfully good thing.
You said this goes from September 7th to
January 5th.
5th.
Well, we have a soft opening on August 16th. So we'll have that.
Well, Joan, I would like to thank you on behalf of the commission for bringing this to Glendale and for continuing to make the art exhibit at the Glendale Forest Lawn one of the most beloved in the country and one of the most sought after when people come here. I know that it has quite a reputation, and I was really excited when we were looking for a speaker. I was really excited that our friends at Glendale Arts directed me to you specifically with this exhibit. And so I know that all of us commissioners are going to make it a point to attend, and anything we can do to help you promote it, please know that we will.
Thank you so much. That's so wonderful. And I want to thank Glendale Arts for suggesting this exhibit to be the topic for this evening. A topic.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, please.
Next is item 3, oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation.
I have before me 3 speaker cards. The first is Mr. Leon Mayer. Did you want to come up on your own, or did you want to come with Ms. Deborah Collins, who's the second card?
Why doesn't Deborah come with me?
Okay, so we'll have Leon Mayer and Deborah Collins come together. Thank you for coming.
My name is Leon Mayer. I'm from the Friends of the Glendale Library, and this is the first time I've been before the commission. And I'd like to welcome Mrs. Kojayan. And you struck a chord with me because years ago, more years than I can want to remember, I was an orphan. And I was taken in by a B'nai B'rith, that's the Jewish organization in the United States, and they took care of orphans all over the country, Jewish orphans, but orphans nevertheless. And so I thought about that when I heard you make your comments. Now, I'd like to introduce tonight Deborah Collins, who was the recipient in 2010 of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women, the highly prized jewel of Glendale, Women of Courage Award. And she's written a book called Crossing Over Boundaries, a journey of child abuse, destruction, recovery, and self-discovery. And her story is absolutely fascinating, and I don't know what words to put on it other than motivating everybody to do what's good for people, families, the community. And we're going to have her at the library Sunday, July 14th at 3 o'clock p.m. this Sunday. And the Essentia, the nonprofit homeless services organization, and shelter in Glendale, they're one of the co-sponsors, along with the Library Arts and Culture and the Friends of the Library. And I'd like to present at this time Deborah Collins.
I didn't think I'd get teary-eyed. Thank you for having me here today. I've never been before the commission, and I thank you so much for my honor back in 2010. I still have it in the box.
Quite welcome and well-deserved.
2005, I came to Glendale. I had just came out of the Salvation Army's recovery program, and it was a 6-month work therapy program, which I managed to complete. And before that time, I was homeless and on alcohol and crystal meth addiction, and I had my brother taking care of my kids. And so basically, I was starting over again. Essentia, the angels that brought me in, Nancy Friedson, Natalie, all of them gave me shelter, and we worked out a plan. And I was in their program for 2 years. And in that time, I got my son back. He graduated Glendale High School his senior year. He had ADHD in 2nd grade, but he worked at Burger King over in Colorado. My daughter, Michaela, is in the dance drill. She's actually at practice right now. I got her back. I went back to school in 2009, taking 29 courses at Ashford University, and graduated with a 3.91 grade point average in psychology, with summa cum laude status, which was like barely. I made it, though. So the crystal meth really didn't mess me up too much. I've been working at a nonprofit organization for the last 6 years in downtown LA. The reason for my book is that I've known since the age of 12 that I would write a book one day, and that was at a teacher's open house at the school. And at that time, I was being very much abused by my father and my stepmother. So I really didn't think there was anything good about me, but my reading teacher had told my parents that I had writing potential. And I went outside and I looked up at the sky, and for the first time in my life, I actually saw a 3-dimensional sky where it looked like it was breathing and moving. And I think that's what people see most of the time, but I didn't see that. But on that night, I did. And I had made a wish that I would write a book. So as the years go by, I did like a lot of people, and I made it through school and worked and took care of my kids and assistant den mother for the Cub Scouts. Loved the Cub Scouts. It was awesome. But then something went wrong, and I began to go downhill. I was working 2 jobs. My mom was dying. I was her only daughter, and I had 3 kids. And it just got too much, because we are emotional beings, but if we don't know how to handle our emotions, then we may sway a little too far off course and lose control, which is what I did. And I found comfort in alcohol, and I found comfort in crystal meth. One gave me, one did one thing, and the other one gave me the energy. So, but it also led me down a path of despair, where I was evicted. I know what that feels like. And so now what I want to do for the future for the children, and I hope I'm not just drowning you out with this, I want to help other people, not only that are going through pain. And I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning writing down things that I wanted to say, and then of course I didn't follow my notes. If you look on the internet and you put up child abuse, sexual abuse, they can't really give you percentages that are accurate, because a lot of kids won't tell. And a lot of times as they get older, they start to experience things that allow them the strength to finally start, sharing their secret and what had happened to them. It doesn't just happen to just a few. It happens to thousands. And the percentages from the ages of 14 to 17, 16% of the United States population has been abused sexually. And then you look at another, and this is on the same statistics, this is the National Center for Victims of Crime, but if you go online, you'll see lots of statistics and lots of different organizations, and all 1 out of 3, 2 out of 5. I don't want to believe that there's nothing we can do. And I believe that we can reach out to our children, and there is hope for them. I know when I was a little girl, I didn't want my family to fall apart at 8 years old. I didn't I didn't want to tell because I didn't know what would happen to us. And I want us to be more observant of our children and who we bring around them. I want to create an awareness that, you know, if you leave your child with a neighbor or a 12-year-old, I mean, you know, just look for the signs, bedwetting. And also when it comes to adults that have gone through all that, and we can help them now. Because what happened to me, I had to go all the way down, but I don't think we have to go all the way down. I think that we can catch people before they get there. And we can show them by opening up and giving them empowerment that they can take back their lives and they can get their innocence back and they can grow and they can learn and they can love and they can trust and they don't have to live in fear. And I do believe that because I have that now. So basically, my book is out there. My story is for everyone to read, and not to brag, but I published my book in May, and I have 17 reviews on Amazon, and they're all 5-star. And what people are feeling when they read my book is every emotion, and I love that. I want people to feel emotion. I want them to get angry, and I want them to feel, because we've come so far with desensitizing, that we need to reach out to our neighbors and our friends. And I love the city of Glendale. I really do. I love, there's, Ralph's is right around the corner from me, and there's a lady, Betty, who's beautiful, and she's having surgery right now for cancer. And there's a guy at the gas station at Shell that says, God bless you every time you pay him. We have I won't talk about the corn lady that comes down our street, but I'm lucky when I find her. I just hope that you can support me in my future, because what I want to do in the future is to reach out and touch as many people as possible by sharing my story, by inspiring them, by helping them heal, and by hope. Well, you probably have some questions. I'm talking too much now. Okay.
Do we have comments?
I don't want. I just was looking at Commissioner Kajayan and thinking that you could probably speak to the ARS without any problem at all, and I think that you could probably speak to any group here in Glendale and bring them information. My question to you is: you have a plan. The book is the first step of your plan, correct? In what other ways do you plan on getting your message out?
Well, that's you know what, I wasn't prepared for that. This is my first speaking engagement. I mean, not my first speaking engagement. I've done speaking engagements before, but this is my first book signing that's coming up. And Glendale News is coming tomorrow or Wednesday to interview me, and she needs about an hour and 15 minutes. So this is all really new. And when you think about somebody who went through a homeless shelter and where they are today, like, that is just, to me, even, like, just amazing that so much can happen, And so I'm not sure. I could actually take some direction and help if you'd like to give me some advisement, but I want to be put to use. So, if you find that there's a place that you think you could have me, where it comes to public speaking or free speeches. I mean, it's not about money. It never was about money, but it is about helping our community and enriching lives. And so, I'm sorry. I mean, that's about it.
Do we have other? Motivational is an understatement, Mr. Mayor. This is certainly, your story is very courageous, and I think we all sat here sort of in awe. You could feel it as we were sitting here, and we wish you every ounce of success. We definitely, as a commission, you could tell by the comments that came from all the commissioners that these sorts of issues and how they relate to women are very much what we want to be out on the forefront and helping support women. So we very much will be in touch with you in the future and look forward to collaborating with you. And we'll see you Sunday. I think a few of us will be there to support you in the audience. Commissioner Devine will be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to thank Leon again for the phone call and for bringing Deborah here for
I
us
want
to
to thank
hear.
him too. I've never met him before.
Big hug for both of us.
I'll give him a hug. And for we have Chuck over at the library, who
Yes.
before now I had never spoken to, and I did a little research on him, and he's been with the library since 1991, which is when I left my ex-husband in San Diego. So he's been with the library for a very long time. So we have great people here in Glendale. We do.
Commissioner Kajoyan also wanted to just make a comment to you.
Thank you for all the information. I guess I like to speak to our chairperson in Armenian Relief Society. Maybe we can contact you and you can give some advice. We will be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
I understand this is being carried on Channel 6, so I'd like to remind anybody, and first of all, I want to invite everybody in the TV audience to come Sunday at 3 o'clock at the Central Library. Parking is validated for 3 hours, and please get your car validated so you don't have to worry about getting a citation. Again, it's my pleasure to, on behalf of Chuck Wyke and the Friends of the Library and Essentia, to bring Debbie Collins to the library. We hope to have a great crowd there this Sunday at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
And just one last thing, could you also state the name of your book?
Crossing Over Boundaries.
Thank you.
A journey of child abuse, destruction, recovery, and self-discovery.
Thank you. And we have another speaker, Talar Malakian.
Good evening, Chair Miller, commissioners, and city staff. I would first like to congratulate Commissioner Hojayan on her appointment. My name is Talar Malakian, and I'm so happy to be back at the city chambers, joining you and introducing myself yet again. I know some of you because of my involvement in the commission as a student ex officio in high school several years ago. But today I'm here to introduce myself as ANCA Glendale's new executive director. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ANCA Glendale advocates for the social, economic, cultural, and political rights of the city's Armenian American community and promotes increased civic participation at the grassroots and public policy levels. ANCA Glendale also hosts various services such as legal clinics, workshops, and initiatives to meet the needs of the Glendale community. In the past, I've had the privilege of working with the Commission on various projects, and I know of many events and initiatives ANCA Glendale has been involved in with the Commission. Such partnerships include the Domestic Violence Task Force and Sexual Assault Awareness Month activities. I have personally been involved in attending a Rosie Goes to Wall Street session a few years ago as a student workshop speaker. I also helped the Commission launch the GEM Award Youth Scholarship for the Jewels of Glendale banquet. I look forward to many of the events, initiatives, and projects we'll be working on together in the future, and I'm thrilled to be back in the Jewel City. Just wanted to come by, introduce myself, and say my hellos. So it was nice seeing you all, and I hope to meet you all at the end.
Thank you for coming.
Comment.
Yes, Commissioner Devine.
Of course, I have a comment. Are my buttons? I don't know. My husband always says his buttons are popping when he's so proud, and I'm so proud of Talar because she was a wonderful ex officio, and this just proves that maybe this commission is having a little bit of an influence on some of the young women here in our community, and just so very proud of you.
Definitely. I mean, my time here was great, and I'm looking forward to all the work we'll be doing in the future together. So,
Great. Yes.
And also, as a last year's GEM Award recipient, thank you very much for starting that. I very much appreciate it.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming by and letting us know. Seeing that there are no other speakers on this item, it is closed, so we'll go to the next item on the agenda, please.
Item 4, consent items. At A, approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on May 13, 2013.
Since we only have 2 commissioners here, we cannot make a motion, but at this point, or we can't make a motion to approve the minutes, but is there anyone, Commissioner Devine, who was here in May, who would like to make a comment or any changes to the minutes?
None.
Okay.
They're perfect.
All right. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 5, business agenda. A, action items. At 1, consideration and discussion of sponsorship opportunity for the National Association of Commissions for Women, NACW, conference. At A, motion providing direction regarding the NACW sponsorship opportunity.
Would you like a report,
Yes,
Chairman?
if you could provide a report.
The 43rd Annual Conference and Business Meeting of the National Association of Commissions for Women, or short for NACW, is scheduled for July 24th through the 27th to be held in San Jose, California. The conference is being hosted by the Santa Clara County Commission on the Status of Women and the Contra Costa County Commission for Women, with support from members of the Association of California Commissions for Women. The conference theme is Bridge to Equality. The conference attracts women and supporters from across the country seeking opportunities and tools to make a difference for women and their families and in their communities. There will be workshops and guest speakers on a variety of hot topics relating to women and women's issues. Topics such as equal pay issues, women veterans, social media, impact of women in leadership roles. At the Association of California Commission for Women's meeting in Santa Barbara in last month, or was it in May, a sponsorship opportunity was presented for swag bags for the conference. Commissioner Devine attended that meeting and on behalf of the commission and brought forth the sponsorship opportunity for this commission to consider. The sponsorship is in the amount of $1,000, and it will include the commission name printed on the swag bags that would be handed out to hundreds of people attending the conference. Exhibit 1 attached to the report, there's a sample of what the bag would, the art on the bag would look like. In case the bags go to print and we don't have time because the commission, the conference is on the 24th, so just in case we don't make, with commission considering it today, in getting back to the ACCW, they also have a backup plan of luggage tags that would get attached to the bag. So in case the bag goes to print without enough time for the commission logo or name to be printed on there. So this sponsorship opportunity will allow the commission to promote its name and commitment to women, gain exposure before women-led organization, and reach key decision makers. This would be a great opportunity, so staff would like direction on if the commission would like to consider sponsoring this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Just, if I may, a point of clarification. It was my understanding, and your information may be more recent than mine, but it was my understanding as of a week ago, per Suzanne Doty, the conference association, she's handling the conference, that the luggage tag was not an option. My understanding was it was the bag or it was nothing, and that was through email that we were copied on.
I apologize, I don't recall that, but I haven't heard anything more than that. So if there was an email that stated that it was either the bag or nothing, then I stand corrected. Okay. Well, I haven't talked to Suzanne since the last email.
And it may be a moot point, but just know that if we go in a certain direction, we may have to get clarification on that.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
So, discussion? Commissioner Devine?
Well, I just want to add and let the other commissioners know that when I attended the meeting and heard about the bags, I just thought it was a terrific opportunity for our commission to get nationwide recognition. Everybody, I mean, they will be coming from Hawaii and the East Coast, and to have our name on these bags is really a great PR move. So I volunteered, kind of said I would bring it back, suggested, and so I find it now on the agenda, which I think is terrific. So I'm all for this.
Commissioner Kajoyan?
I like the idea. It's very good. This is going to be, as she said, from all over they are coming, and I second it on this idea.
We're ready to go. Do we have any comments from our students? You can see what the viewing audience might not be aware of is we have an actual visual in our packet of what the potential bag would look like with our name on it, so that it says compliments of the City of Glendale, California, CSW. I do know in my discussions with the commission at the state level and the conference committee that what was provided back is that Glendale and this particular commission is looked at as a very strong commission, not only in our state but nationwide. And so the opportunity to do this and to also do it in a time when we actually have two commissioners attending is also appealing to me as well. Two commissioners from Glendale. Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that the commission provide the NACW with $1,000 for the bags with our name on them.
I will second.
Do we have a second? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Kajayan?
Yes.
Chair Miller?
Yes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
5A2, consideration and discussion of 2013 Camp Rosie program. At A, motion to review and provide feedback regarding the 2013 Camp Rosie program.
Can I have a brief report on this, please?
Sure. Camp Rosie, now in its 7th year in Glendale, is for young women and girls between 12 and 18 years of age. It's a camp in order to empower them to make personal, educational, financial, and career choices from an expanded set of possibilities. The camp is currently in its first session. We have 18 girls enrolled in camp for the first session. Just wanted to provide a report to the commission on the cost of the camp and the latest information that we found out based on a council decision. The program budget for Camp Rosie is $30,400, but there is a lot of in-kind services which the program does not directly pay for, like rent, printing, graphics. So the direct cost of the camp is $11,200. Revenue resources for this camp come from grant funding from Dignity Health, which is Glendale Memorial, for $7,000, and the Seroptimus International of Glendale for $1,000. In previous years, CDBG has also granted funds, and this year there was also a $10,000 grant from CDBG, but unfortunately, due to further CDBG grant reductions, the $10,000 award for Camp Rosie was reduced to zero. With council approval of a revised fiscal year 13-14 CDBG annual plan on July 2nd, with a recommendation for the commission to use existing commission fund balance to pay for Camp Rosie this year. The current fund balance for the commission is about $100,000 as of today, but this is a preliminary number as the June funds, as June has just completed and year-end has not officially, or the year has officially ended, but the fiscal year finance is still closing the books. So that's an unofficial number. As I mentioned, the camp is 2 sessions, 3 weeks long each. First session is July 1st through the 18th, Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 5:30. And the second session is July 22nd through August 8th, Monday through Friday, again, 12:30 to 5:30. With the currently, as I mentioned, the budget, the direct cost is $11,000, but with $8,000 coming in from grant funding, the true cost of the camp, or that will have to come out of the commission fund balance, would be $3,100. So with 2 sessions, you would split that cost in half because the 2 sessions are identical, so the cost is about the same for each session. There is an exhibit that's attached to your report which provides the budget breakdown of the cost of camp. Currently, Christine Powers, who used to be the staff to the commission, is the staff person to the camp. So she's the camp director for this year, and that's a cost-saving measure this year that staff was able to do. The location of the camp is at the Pacific Community Center. Staff has done a lot of outreach with local nonprofits, GUSD, through social media, through the parks website, the city website. And so far, for the second session, we only have 2 applicants, but the Glendale Youth Alliance has committed 10 students. We don't have the applications yet, but they have said that they will be able to provide 10 students for the second session. So far, those are, as I said, there's 2 applicants for the second session that we received an application for, and 10 commitments from the Glendale Youth Alliance. So staff is looking for direction on if there's any direction that Commission would like to provide regarding Camp Rosie.
Before we begin our discussion on this matter, if I can just break it down for the Commission in terms of identifying the options before us as I understand them. Thank you for the budget that has been prepared and the breakdown of costs. And it appears that this Commission can go forward as is, and there would then be a motion to on the 3,100, correct?
The funds are already part of the Commission budget, so the funds are already.
So there'd be no motion on that we would just, it would just go as is, and this would be a report?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. The second part of the discussion that we can look at is because we recognize that there is a change to the funding balance and that we are funding it out of prior years that were designated for Camp Rosie and other funds that we've raised, we can look at an option of having one camp that's currently running. So I'm looking for discussion on either of those matters and framing them. We do nothing, or we make changes based on these balance differences.
I have a
Commissioner Kajoyan?
On the second one, that's in August 2nd, do we have time to fill out that class, or?
Yes, we'll continue to take applications through July 16th, but only to be able to send out the acceptance letters. But if we still have room, we could take applicants all the way to the first day of class. So we'll continue to take applications as they come in.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Devine?
My thought is that we have these classes set up this summer, and all we're lacking at this point is $3,000. And I think if we get 12 girls through the second time, and probably we can get more, I would hope, that for this summer, I think we should continue with both sessions, and then maybe take a look at this next year and see if we want to cut to one. Because right now, I think everything is pretty well set. It's not that much out of our budget, and and plus, even if it's 2 girls or 1 girl that's been promised a spot, and the GYA is willing to bring us more girls, I think the program is strong enough to allow us or to beg us kind of to let it go for this summer, carry on, and then next summer take a look at it when we really have to look at our final budget, what we really know is in our budget, and how much it will cost, and see where we go from there.
Do you have any more comments?
Chair Miller,
Yes.
Commissioners, if I may, just to clarify from staff's perspective, the $3,000 is not an issue. The funding is not an issue. The funding is more than adequately covered by utilizing the fund balance of the budget. As it was reported, your fund balance is approximately $100,000, so it's pretty hefty. I think part of the feedback that we were interested in is if we have a very low enrollment by the time it's ready to begin the second session, is there a particular number which, in your opinion, would be too low to continue with the second session? For example, the maximum enrollment would be 30, maybe 10 would be the lowest to make it practical and to exert the effort on the part of the camp director. But if you feel strongly that even 5 or 6, is 5 or 6 more girls that are able to take advantage of the program, then we will appreciate that direction as well.
Commissioner Devine?
You know, it seems like we go through this every year with Camp Rosie. It comes time for the classes, and we have a minimal number of girls, and then all of a sudden, at the last minute, we get kind of a surge. And so I hate to make a decision based on how many girls we have now enrolled. If we could make a motion that says something like, if by, July 16th or 20th, if we don't have 15 girls, then maybe we should cancel the class. But if we have 15 girls, then we go ahead with it. Would that be a possibility?
Yes.
You know, I do have some thoughts on this, and I first want to start with this. You know, Camp Rosie is a signature program of this commission, so it's very much something we want to consider and think about regardless of the attendance. My issue with this, because I am an advocate for just having one this summer, but if it's the will of the commission that we have two, and if the option and if the weighing of having this being a signature program outweighs the numbers, I would certainly, with my colleagues, vote that way. But what I think about, I'm coming more from a strictly our funds that we are raised. I'm thinking out into the future. I'm thinking into next year. So, for example, we have 17. If we're talking about numbers, I think 15 is too low. I would like to set that number at 17 or higher, so that our second class wouldn't be less than our first class. Because what I see in of these 17 girls, although I went to Camp Rosie and I saw the look in their faces, and I'm glad that we're able to offer this, and I'm glad this commission is strong, that we have the ability to do that. I also see $6,500 sitting on the table that we could take to Essentia, that we could take to a different group that really needs that money. Or we could, as a commission, decide what we want to do. So I'm less, my issue isn't that I don't want there to be a Camp Rosie. I absolutely do. It's a signature program. My issue is the money left on the table when we don't fill it. So if we could really make our best effort and really encourage and have the GYA come forth and have the names that you identify come forth, then it all completely makes sense. But when we don't, I see that although it breaks down to just $3,000 that we're spending, in my mind, it's the people we didn't fill that we're really spending. That's a hard cost to me, and I only comment because it would be, when I approach these financial decisions in my own life, I think about the money left on the table. And I think about, I have to go through every year and decide who I want to give money to at the end of the year. And I would be hard-pressed to just throw that money out the door. So I think, our cities had to make hard decisions, we have to make hard decisions, and we just have to really think as we continue to go forward how we best serve the community. Yes, Commissioner Devine.
Mr. Duran, if we don't do this second session, will we have $6,500 to give to spread through the community, or to put on a program for vets, or do something else with it?
Chair Miller, Commissioner Devine, I will defer to Teresa in terms of the fiscal impact. Is the cost of the second session $3,000 from the fund balance?
Well, the total cost of Camp Rosie is the $11,000, so it would be half. So you wouldn't have $6,500, but there, for example, the charter rental of the bus is $2,000, so it's $1,000 for the first session, $1,000 for the second session. But there are costs like the supplies and the workbooks where we buy them in bulk, so that you can't split. So I would say maybe not half, but a little less. So $2,000 to $3,000 you would have remaining, because you wouldn't pay $1,000 for the bus, and you wouldn't pay the self-defense $1,000 for the self-defense because you wouldn't provide that for the second session.
And Commissioner Devine, whatever the savings is, it would be available for the commission to recommend another use for those funds, whether it's $3,000 or $5,000.
And thank you, Mr. Duran. Again, I want to be clear. I only raise this point because of the situation we find ourselves in. Again, if this commission is so moved that Camp Rosie is a signature piece and we can set that amount at a little bit higher than 15, then of course we would find, because we would find in this particular term to go in that direction. My $6,500 comes from the spots we don't fill again. I know that the hard cost based on your budget is really $1,500. I get, I'm running all the numbers, correct, Mr. Durant? It's 3184 divided by 2 is,
Right.
it's
Chair Miller
about
and-
$1,600
Right, but I guess...
for this year, but in future years, and at some point money runs out. We keep spending.
Well, and that's why I'm saying that if we let the camp go on this summer for the second time, and then next year, for next year's budget, we can look at it and say, well, maybe this year we should really cut it down to one session and see how that goes. Because it seems like we've always struggled with the enrollment. As good as this class is, and as good as this workshop is, the commission has always really had to work hard to get participants. So I think if we can settle on a number, like 17, what do we have now, 18? So let's say if we can get 18 into the second session by July, give me a date.
You can say 20th, which would
July
be the Friday.
20th. Then we would go on to, we would carry on with the second session. And then next year we would possibly think, since we will get no CDBG money next year for sure, since we're not getting it this year, I doubt that we'd be getting it next year, then we could look at just one session.
So can we put that into a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
But if we can't make 18 or 17, are we going to cancel it or not?
That's what the motion would
Yes,
be.
that's
Did
what
you
I-
have,
that's
did
what would be
you
in the
have
motion.
more comments you wanted to make, Commissioner Kajoya?
No, I will try to fill out that.
Then I'd like to make a motion that the commission go ahead and conduct the second session of Camp Rosie if we can enroll at least, at the minimum, 18 girls by July 20th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Kajayan?
Yes.
Chair Miller?
Yes. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 5B, reports for information only. At 1, final update regarding the 9th annual Jewels of Glendale fundraising luncheon.
Can we have a short report on this, please?
Sure. Chair Miller, members of the commission, we reported, I think, in the last month's, not last month, but the month before we canceled the meeting, that the Jules Luncheon was a success. We did get a chance to finalize the financials. So I just wanted to report that we had 201 people in attendance at the Jules Luncheon, and the revenue raised was $22,095, which came from $9,500 in cash sponsorship, $2,035 from the silent auction, $1,395 in ad sales and donations, and $9,165 from ticket purchases. And the total expenses were $8,470, which leaves a net profit from that, from the luncheon of $13,624. So it was a great event, and it was successful in raising good profit for the commission.
Well, I would like to, at this time, take a moment just to thank ex-Commissioner Linda Burns for being our chair on this event. I see this as a very successful event. We had less ticket sales because we had less awardees, and yet, if you notice, our expenses were less, so that therefore allowed our profit to be almost similar as it was in the previous years. I was very excited when I saw this report. Okay, seeing no further comments, next item.
Item 5B2, Commission on the Status of Women's 2013 Master Calendar of Events.
Do we have any items to discuss on this calendar?
Unless commissioners have anything to add or any changes that you'd like to make.
Advocacy, we'll just let everyone know that our lecture or our speaker for next month, the topic would be advocacy, fighting for women's causes. So if you have someone that you can recommend for the commission, please, by all means, get in touch with Teresa Alexanian. We would very much like to have someone within the community come forth and discuss this with us. And seeing that there are no further comments on this, let's go to the next item, please.
Sure. Item 6, Commissioner Staff Comments.
Well, seeing that we have a new commissioner with us, it seems that it would be most appropriate to have you comment first about whatever you might like to say.
This is the first time, but it's very interesting. And in just few seconds, I learn more. So I will try next time to be more feedback with this. But can I say something? I have some questions. I think it's the time to say any questions, or
Start with your question, and if I send you a note, it means no. It means
okay. This is in my mind as a Commission on the Status of Women.
Yeah.
Is there any resources, guides, or any? Does the city have any programs or committee that get involved with the women or young girls that they have a problem with justice and they are out of prison, or is there anything that they guide them to lead them to the right direction?
Commissioner Kajoyan has a very specific interest in what our community does for young women who are recently out of prison. And do we know if there are any resources in our city that are available specifically for that, or is it a part of other groups?
Well, we can start.
Yes, Chair Miller, Commissioner Kajoyan, we would have to research as the department responsible for the community development block grant programs and coordinating social services in Glendale. We do work with most of the nonprofit organizations in Glendale. We can ask our community development block grant or CDBG staff to research and provide us with a list of the nonprofit organizations that we are aware of that may provide some information and referral services for young women being released from prison specifically, or
prison,
or in
or
general?
if they have a problems, we can solve it or lead them to a right direction, or we can collaborate with other organizations.
Well, when you say we can lead them, do you mean we as the commission, or do you mean we as a community?
As a community.
Okay. We can research and try to come up with a list of service providers that provide those services and promote it through the commission meetings. We could even, what we do with the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission, at every meeting we invite a nonprofit organization to speak about their services, and that way we get the word out in the community on all the social services provided in Glendale. If you're interested, we could try something like that for the Women's Commission as well.
Commissioner Klein.
I just want to add that Neighborhood Legal Services is a great resource for that, as well as the YWCA, because they have attorneys on hand and give women advice in cases of hardship.
Yes, three organizations that come immediately to mind. You may or may not be aware that the city is entering an agreement with All for Health, Health for All. They have a new mental health counseling program that will be housed at Heritage Park, at the Cedar House Bungalow at Heritage Park, which Community Services and Parks Department vacated to consolidate programs at the Pacific Park Community Center and to make that house and facility available for a nonprofit. And so we were lucky enough that All for Health and Health for All submitted a proposal that was approved by the City Council. They may provide a similar service or be connected to a service provider that does. We are also working with D.D. Hirsch on some programs, and they also provide mental health counseling and maybe more general counseling. And we also work with Pacific Clinics out of Pasadena. They're in Pasadena, but again, they provide counseling and mental health counseling. So those are three agencies that come immediately to mind that we could do more research on and provide more information to get it out to the community.
I will be glad to get involved too, with your permission, Chairperson.
Do you have other comments that you wanted to make? Well, before I move to Commissioner Devine, I just want to make a few more comments about Commissioner Kajoyan and how pleased we are that you're here. Although soft-spoken today, we know that you are a very strong woman with 25 years of experience behind you. I had the opportunity to meet with you this week, and I think you have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of ideas. I think that your connection to the Armenian Relief Society will be very valuable to this commission. I think it's commendable that you have a son that's an engineer and the other one's an attorney. That's a big deal, I understand. Started in med school. So welcome to this commission, and we look forward to having you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
I guess together we can reach our goals.
Commissioner Devine.
Okay. Since we missed last month's meeting, there were a few things that I was going to speak about last month. First off was the loss in the community of Gary Cornell. He served on the CDBG commission, and he was always very supportive of this commission. And it is a loss to the community, and my heartfelt sympathies go out to his family. I want to congratulate the YWCA because they did another Synergos seminar for the women vets, and the reason it was again very successful, and this one was about leadership, and it had leaders of communities attend. But the most important thing that was announced at the conference was that Glendale, the community of Glendale, is going to be the model for this program all over the United States, and California especially, because they received such great input and support from our city, from our community, and so it's going to be the model. And if they go into a community and that wants to do this kind of a program for their women vets, and they don't agree to be as good as Glendale was and to participate as heartily as Glendale did, they're not going to present their program. So it's really a feather in Glendale's cap to be such a supportive community for our women vets, and I'm looking forward to this commission providing perhaps some programs for them as well. I want to congratulate Lisa Babari. She was here 2 months ago speaking about her 3E conference. Evoke, Embrace, and what was the third one? Evolve. And Lisa, I have to say it was a fantastic event. It was motivational, it was educational, illuminating, it was fun. A lot of women got a lot out of it, women who were at a crossroads in their lives, facing hardship, facing divorce, facing a lot of issues that we all can go through in our lifetimes. And she gave them hope and possibilities, and it was absolutely amazing. So congratulations to her. I mean, that was a big job. Lastly, I want to welcome Teresa Alexanian, our new staff administrator. It's going to be great working with you, I can tell. And Iris Hidalgo, thank you so much for taking on this commission. We appreciate that, and Director Duran, we're looking forward to working with you as well. And I want to welcome Commissioner Kajayan. I've known the commissioner for about 8 years now. And when I first came on the commission, I think she was president of the ARS at that time, or
Yes.
pretty close to being. And right away, they jumped in and joined the commission at our walks and our domestic violence projects and events, and I have been a supporter of the ARS ever since, because I liken them, and they explained it to me, that the ARS is kind of like the Red Cross here in our United States, and it's a wonderful group of women that really take on projects and events that are terrific, and they do a great job. And welcome to the commission, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. See you all Sunday at 3 o'clock at the library. Right? Right. Okay.
I'd just like to welcome Commissioner Kajayan and our new staff. Congratulations, and I'm very excited to work with all of you. And I love the presentation on the art exhibit, and I'm very excited to go see all of it.
Thank you. Are you taking summer classes?
No, unfortunately not.
There are 3 things I'd like to say, actually. It was great meeting you, Commissioner Kojoyan. Secondly, thank you, Ms. Collins, for sharing your story. I'll be sure to read the memoir and hope to attend the book signing. And thirdly, I agree with Commissioner Devine on having a art festival here in Glendale for women. I think that'd be a great idea. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I, too, know that we didn't meet last month, and I looked at my calendar and I thought, I can't remember actually what I did last week, so I'm going to keep it more in the current. And just let you know, I had the opportunity to attend on behalf of the commission the 5K that was run at the Rose Bowl in May for the Girls on the Run, and to put medal markers on these girls, and wow, what a magnificent event. I was able to meet the teams that we sponsored, to see what it meant to them when they crossed the finish line, and to know that we contributed a great amount to the success that they felt at achieving that hurdle of running the 5K. I also had the opportunity to attend on day 1 Camp Rosie. I too would like to thank both the city and these times for figuring out ways to help us run our signature program, as well as Ms. Powers for being able to teach that course during times that we see happening within this summer. I look forward to attending the national conference with Commissioner Devine later this month, and we have a lot of great lectures that we are going to be attending on all of the... We'll bring bags. Well, yeah, Commissioner Devine said we'll bring bags back for everybody. I'll let her work on that. And but I also had the opportunity earlier this month. Commissioner Devine did attend our meeting in Santa Barbara, and she spoke with the executive director, Rebecca Blanton. And Rebecca she's from the California Commission, the executive director, and she came to Glendale, and I had the opportunity with Teresa Alexanian to meet with her specifically on the needs of this commission and how we might collaborate at a state level in terms of the programs that we offer, the themes that we're looking at, and specifically what our focus and mission is. So I think with all of the excitement coming from the California Commission combined with the National Commission being here, as well as our new appointments, I think there's a lot of new energy that is being surged into this commission. With that, I also want to take time to thank our staff who have been with us actually for quite a few months, but it's nice to make it official, to Ms. Hidalgo and Ms. Alexanian, as well as our director, Jess Duran, and to thank you for being here as well tonight. Let's see. I think that about covers it for this month, and if with all that, I think we can make a motion that the July, or are we in July? Yeah. The July meeting is closed at 6:46 p.m.